Hello, everyone, and welcome to Money Matters with Shannon Jackson, the personal finance show focused on moving you forward financially. On today's show, we're focusing on youth and money. As parents, we all want our children to succeed in life, and a great first step is ensuring they have the foundation and skills to ensure financial success. So, how do parents achieve this goal? Joining me with advice on that and how you can ensure your child has what it takes is Maya Corbic, CPA, finance expert, founder of the Wealthy Kids Investment Club, and sought after speaker. She's also the author of From Piggy Banks to Stocks, the ultimate guide for young investors. Maya, welcome to Money Matters, and thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, Shannon. I'm really excited to be chatting with you.
Before we get into our topic, can you share with us a little bit about your background? Because it's pretty inspiring.
Sure, yes. So I'm a first generation immigrant. I immigrated to Canada when I was 15 from war-torn Bosnia with my two parents and my brother. And we lost everything in the war. We only came with $50 and two suitcases. And we lived in government shelters, government housing. I had two part-time jobs when I was a teenager. So I had to obviously work very hard, make sure that, I get a good job or really I did the traditional route. I got good grades, got into a really good university and became a CPA. And that gave me an opportunity for a better life. And when I was in my early 30s, I was about 32, when my husband and I paid off all of our debt, including student loans and card debt and whatnot. And we also paid off the mortgage on our very first home. And I decided that I wanted to do something different rather than auditing. And so I decided to pursue financial literacy, and here we are.
So it sounds like your personal experience has really inspired you with this most recent book that you've written.
Oh, absolutely. The book, is a resource that I wish I had when I was younger. When I was a teenager, I still am a bookworm. I love to read. So I would read a lot of finance books. And I realized pretty quickly that investing was the way to acquire more wealth. But I didn't know much about investing. And a lot of books that I read, they were very complicated. So I wrote this book because I wanted something that's really easy and simple to follow. It's written in a language that a 10-year-old can understand. So I wrote it for everybody who's looking to understand basics of investing, but in a way I wrote it for my younger self.
Well, let's get into our topic because as parents, we want our children to be successful, responsible adults. And of course, the crucial aspect of that is our financial literacy. So, Maya, what's your personal opinion about why financial literacy is so important for our kids?
Well, it's really, one of the cornerstones of our well-being. There's a lot of research out there that talks about, how financial stress can cause health issues. It can cause distress in the marriage. And, if we can actually teach our kids how to become financially literate, they can hopefully avoid those issues later on in life, as well as, they can become financially independent and just live a better life, make better choices, have more options as to how they want to lead their life.
And what role as us as parents, I think we have a pretty critical role in this. Would you say that?
Oh, absolutely. I think that the schools are getting better. They are introducing more financial literacy curriculum into the schools. However, one thing that I like to always mention is that financial literacy is closely tied to values. So we as parents, we need to be teaching financial literacy that is in line with our family values. And I'll just give you a quick example. If let's say your family likes, let's say you go to church and you feed and donate, you want your children to do the same. That may or may not necessarily be what they're teaching them in school. I think school is really important. They will set the basic foundation, but we as parents also need to participate. And there are some things that are currently not in the curriculum, like investing, teaching kids about investing.
I like that you said there about the relationship between our financial literacy and our values as a family. I agree with you. I think that's really important. Are there other sort of key concepts that parents should be teaching our children about financial literacy?
Oh, yes. I mean, there are so many topics of financial literacy that the kids need to learn. But if I had to pick just a couple to mention right now, definitely understanding the difference between needs and wants. It seems like a simple topic, but it's actually something that even adults struggle with. And then it's also teaching them to understand that there's a right way of saving and the wrong way of saving. The right way of saving is paying yourself first. So as soon as the money comes in, you take a portion, you save it, you don't touch it. And then the rest of the money you can use to pay other people or pay your bills. But this portion that you've saved eventually can get invested. So then we can teach our kids how to invest. And my favorite one, which is something that I didn't learn when I was younger, and I am teaching my students and my kids about it, is creating passive streams of income. So most of us grew up learning that, we have to exchange our time for money. So we go to work, and depending on how much we work, we get paid. But there are ways to earn money where, maybe you put in the time once, and then that time that you have put in and invested actually ends up paying you over a long period of time. So whether that's, working and earning money so that you can invest it into the stock market or investing it into real estate, those investments can pay you over a long period of time. It could be even like creating courses. Let's say you're an expert at something, you create a course, you put in the time once, but there will be people that will be going through your course. And every time somebody signs up for it, that's passive income for you. You're not working for it anymore. So teaching kids to think like that is one of my favorite ways to teach financial literacy.
Well, and for parents looking to teach their children the value of money as well as many other money habits, your book is obviously a great resource. It's called From Piggy Banks to Stocks, the ultimate guide for young investors. And your approach is very engaging because there are likely many parents out there that themselves don't fully understand how investing works and how to get involved in it. But your book really simplifies those complex topics like interest rates and inflation and stocks and bonds and just, you hear these words and it sort of goes over your head a little bit, but the way you've written your book, it makes it very simple to understand. So why was this simplistic approach sort of important to you? I think you touched on it a little bit earlier.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, it's really important, I think, to teach investing in a way that is not intimidating. I think most people feel intimidated by investing and they just think it's this complicated thing, but in reality, it's not. Once you learn it, you actually realize how simple it is. Famous investor Peter Lynch said that as long as you have completed grade 4 math, you're capable of learning how to invest. So a lot of times people tell me, oh, well, you're a chartered professional accountant. This is easy for you. And this is not something I studied in school. This is something I had to learn on my own. And trust me, I was very much intimidated by it as well. And as I said, I read some books and they kind of like the concepts were flying over my head, and I realized that I needed to learn this. And I think for me personally, every time I learn something, I want to learn it in a way that I can explain it to somebody else. That's how I know that I've learned it really well. And the concepts in the book, once I learned them, I was like, this is really simple. I can actually teach this to kids. And that's why the book it looks like a kid's book, but when I was writing it, I had testers, families, parents, and children who were testing it. And it was parents that were coming back to me and saying, I finally understand investing. It's not as complicated as I thought it was going to be.
I think that's reassuring for parents to hear because like you say, if you sort of have the basic math concepts already, then these things can be understood and they can be then passed on to the rest of your family. So I think that's really important that people realize that this is possible to learn. And so then when it comes to teaching our children, how should parents start or where should we start? What are there concepts that maybe we should focus on first?
Well, I definitely think, a good time to start is when you see your children being interested in money. If they're playing store or if you're in the store and they're asking you to buy them things, at that point in time, we know that the children understand the concept that money is used as an exchange to buy things. So that's usually a good time to start. And again, I really like starting off by teaching them the difference between needs and wants. I taught that concept to junior kindergartens in school, and they understand that needs are things we need for survival. Wants are not needed for survival, but they're just really nice to have. And then after that, what I like to teach them about is the monetary denominations. So, coins are worth this much, bills are worth this much. And then we move on to teaching about saving and really that there are four things we can do with our money. So we can save it, we can spend it, we can invest it, and we can donate it. So those would be sort of the first steps, but there is so much more than that. Like once we learn that, then we can, build upon that.
It's interesting that you say that you have started to teach this really to kids like preschool ages, because when they see our examples, we're going to the store, we are spending money on our groceries and things like that. That concept of spending and money, I think, is implanted very early, and then they want to imitate. So would they play store? They play, these sort of money games at home. My daughter is 6 years old, and she is always asking, how much is this? Is that a lot? And so there's a lot of things that we can start to teach children even at a very, very young age. So I appreciate that you say we can start early. Kids will understand this stuff. Now, one of the challenges that parents face in teaching financial literacy is perhaps maybe the overwhelming amount of information that could be available. Obviously, your book is a great resource. Do you have any thoughts of other resources that parents can tap into to sort of help with additional support?
Oh, absolutely. There are a lot of free resources out there. Of course, be careful who you're taking advice from. But a lot of banks have a financial literacy section where they give a lot of free resources. CPA Ontario and CPA Canada, they also provide a lot of financial literacy resources for free. Our government websites also have a lot of financial information for free. So, just do your Google search and just make sure that where you're getting your information, that it's a reputable website or the people who are giving you information are reputable.
And you say that because you think about all the influencers on social media right now, where they are giving advice, financial advice, but they perhaps don't have the qualifications that someone like yourself has. So with sort of avoiding these influencers on social media, do you have any advice on that?
I think there are a lot of people on social media that mean well, and there are some people that you can take advice from, but I would be very careful. I know for me, people want me to tell them what stocks to invest in, or I stay away from that advice. Like for me, I don't have qualifications to advise people like that, but I can provide education. So I am personally very careful about that. And so I would caution everybody else, social media is a great place to get information. Just be careful what kind of information you're getting and who you're trusting.
Well, Maya's going to have more great advice for you and how you can grow your financial literacy, but for both for yourself and your child, straight ahead when Money Matters returns.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
I still remember the games. The laughter, the footsteps through the hallway. I'll never forget the challenges.
Every day I come back from work, it's always like this. We're yelling in front of the kids.
I'll never forget the help we needed. How far we've come.
Focus better.
Partner better.
Sleep better.
Breathe better.
Love better. Work better. Friend better. Unwind better.
Everything gets better when you get active.
Welcome back to Money Matters with Shannon Jackson. My guest today is Maya Corbic, CPA, finance expert, founder of the Wealthy Kids Investment Club and sought-after speaker. She's also the author of From Piggy Banks to Stocks, the ultimate guide for young investors. Now, if you're a parent and looking for advice on how you can teach your child financial literacy skills that will benefit them into adulthood, this book is definitely a benefit for you. The book is written in a fun and easy to understand language, and it's going to help kids and parents how to become a savvy investor. So I want to talk more about the importance of knowing and understanding these investment strategies, Maya, because you point out that there are 5 investment lessons that every child should know. Can you go into those a little bit?
Yeah. So, and I know that's based on my post that I posted on Instagram. So please remind me because I may have forgotten like exactly the order that I put it in. But a lot of times, people think that investing is gambling. So it is not. There are different ways to invest. We have somebody who trades stocks all day long. Those people are traders. We also have short-term investors, and they're also long-term investors. So when you invest for long-term, that is, there is a lot less work associated with that. You have to figure out your portfolio and your investments up front, but investing is really a long-term game. We cannot expect to receive quick profits. Yes, that sometimes happens, but it's more rare. So investing can be very, very boring. And it's supposed to be boring. It's supposed to be kind of like you're watching the paint dry. It's not supposed to be exciting because that exciting part is gambling. And then it's important to capitalize on the long time horizon that our children have ahead of them, because that long time horizon coupled with compound interest can do the heavy lifting of the wealth creation. And maybe there was something else in that post. I'm trying to remember what it was.
Yeah, you mentioned too that it's the best way to create wealth.
Yes, I really like using investing to create wealth because a lot of times, people will save money and, saving is great, but saving money alone doesn't protect your money from losing the purchasing power to interest, because oftentimes interest rates are higher than the savings account interest rates. So what happens is that over time, your money loses purchasing power. And to put it in simple terms is that, if, for example, the inflation rate right now is about 3%, you may be able to find the savings account that's going to give you 6%, but that's only for the next 5 or 6 months. After that, the rate drops. And usually that savings account interest rate, once it drops, it's below the 3% inflation rate. And what does that mean for you? Let's say if you save $100, that $100 is not going to be able to buy the same amount of stuff a year or 2 years from now as it can today. So the money is losing purchasing power. So the only way to combat inflation is to invest in assets that give us higher return than the rate of inflation. And so investing, if done properly, can do that for us. We could also invest in real estate, but I like investing in stocks or stock market, just because I find that as somebody who has done real estate investing, I find that it's a little bit more of low maintenance, rather than dealing with tenants, and all the other things that come as, being a landlord.
You also mentioned that investing early is the best way to have FU money. What exactly is that?
Yeah, so I actually use the FU phrase because I feel that that's something that would catch people's attention, and it did. But in reality, we can call that freedom money or financial independence money. And that's really a concept. It's an interesting concept because there's a whole movement around it. It's called, you may hear about it, it's called FIRE movement. So financial independence, retire early. And all that means is basically that you invest enough money so that each year, if you take a certain amount of withdraw a certain amount of money from your investments to fund your lifestyle, you still have enough in your portfolio for the years to come, and you can actually live off the money that you're withdrawing each year. And the idea behind it is that you don't have to work. So a lot of people have these jobs that they hate, and when it comes to children, I'm trying to teach my children and my students that the real freedom is having options. So work is not necessarily a bad thing. I work, even though I don't have to anymore, but I love what I do. And I want my children and my students to do the same. I want them to do the work that they love rather than go to a job that they hate. So the way to achieve this financial freedom is essentially the first step would be to calculate what your financial independence number is, or FU number is. And the way people do that is to figure out what are their yearly expenses. And based on that number, so that's your lifestyle. This is what you're spending every year. So what you do with that number, let's say it's $60,000, you multiply that. I don't mean you multiply, you divide that by 0.04. And the amount that you get is how much money you would need to invest to provide you with financial freedom so that you can choose what you do with your time. So, for example, if let's say my annual expenses are $60,000. That's what I spend on my car, on my utilities and everything else. In order to maintain this lifestyle, if I divide $60,000 by 0.04, I get $1.5 million. And so if, let's say, I was able to invest and accumulate $1.5 million, at that point in time, I can retire if I want to. And going forward, each year I can withdraw 4% from that 1.5 million, leaving the rest of it to stay in my investment portfolio and earn money and continue to earn at the same rate of investment. And basically I have my living expenses paid for. So I have this financial freedom to do whatever I want.
That's an interesting calculation. I'm glad that you shared that, because it is really just working backwards. How much you're living off of now, how much you're going to need then moving into the future, and doing that calculation. So that's really helpful. Now, there was another statement that you had mentioned that says, through investing, parents can make their child a millionaire. Can you tell us how that's possible?
So it is possible, and a lot of times people are very skeptical, but it's actually very easy to do so. And the way to do it is to actually start investing as soon as your child is born. You can open up a custodial interest account for them with many financial institutions, with many brokerages. And I give several different examples on my Instagram account, which is teach.kids.money. So if you want to check it out. But you can, for example, contribute as little as $10 per week or $20 per week. And that money, let's say even, if you stop at age 18, when your child is age 18, if that money stays in the investment account and continues to grow, by age 65, that money can compound in interest, and it can become worth $1 million. So a lot of times people are skeptical of that math, but I urge everybody, just go online and search for free compound interest calculators, and you can play around with these numbers. If you just invest small amounts of money, they can literally compound to millions of dollars. And if your child especially if your child decides to continue investing past, let's say, the age of 18, they can become millionaires a lot sooner. So it's really, compound interest is really magical. Einstein called it the eighth wonder of the world. And it really does, produce these wonderful results if we start investing early.
So we focused mainly about your book. I really want to talk about now about your Wealthy Kids Investment Club. What is that?
So Wealthy Kids Investment Club is a membership club. It's a family membership club. So for parents and children to learn basics of investing and It's basically broken down into video lessons. There's also a portion where they can do quiz to test their knowledge or compete against each other or compete against other club members. And there is also a workbook attached to each lesson where they can fortify their knowledge. We also have a community, a Facebook community group where they can surround themselves with like-minded parents and talk about how they are upping their investment game or what they're learning. They can ask questions. We also answer those questions. We also have monthly events where we will bring experts to talk more about investing and basics of investing, and they can also ask more questions there. And the most amazing thing that's actually happening right now is that the Wealthy Kids Investment Club is getting an overhaul. It's getting a whole new look, and there will be even more lessons in it. Right now, we have about 90 lessons. So we will be breaking things down. Right now, the lessons are like family lessons, but we will be breaking it down to even lessons for like very, very young kids so that they can really understand the basics of investing. And so it's really an affordable way. I wanted to make it very affordable for everybody to be able to join. We have people from all over the world that are members. We have people from Philippines. We have people from Venezuela. And not only from Canada, there are a lot of them from US as well. So it's a great resource for families to educate themselves about becoming investors.
Well, and that's really great that there's a resource out there that we can tap into. Now, before we sort of wrap up, I just have a few questions that are probably typical questions from parents. Now, the first one is, should children be paid an allowance?
Oh, wow. Okay, so that's a fully loaded question. I know we only have a couple of minutes left, so I'm going to just quickly answer it. It's up to you. Again, going back to the family values, every family needs to decide what's right for them. There is no one right way of doing allowance. There are actually 4 different ways. And I don't know how much time I have to go through them, but the first one is tied to chores. Obviously, if your child doesn't do the chores, they don't get paid. The second one is not tied to chores. Money is used as a tool, teaching tool to teach kids how to manage money. And if the child doesn't do the chores or their regular duties as a family member, they lose other opportunities such as screen time, play date, and so on. And then the third approach is the hybrid of the first 2, where the child basically is given a certain amount of money, not tied to chores. The money is there to learn. But they have opportunities to earn money through maybe by washing their parents' car or shredding their financial documents or some other way. And the fourth method is no allowance at all, but you want to give your child responsibilities to learn about money. So they could be responsible for their own budget, like birthday budget or back to school budget. So that's kind of it, wrapping it up really quick.
No, that's good. I appreciate that. And so with the last a few seconds, if people want to connect with you, how can they do that?
So the Wealthy Kids Club is available online. You just go to wealthykids.club.club. I'm on Instagram at teach.kids.money. And my book is available on Amazon, online, Indigo, and Walmart.
Maya, thank you so much for being here and taking the time to share your advice. And I also want to thank our viewers for watching. Until next time, I'm Shannon Jackson.
Connect with us by visiting our website or email us at comments@rogerstv.com.
I still remember the games,